I'm going to do is I'm going to talk you through the basic steps to make a line drawing inspired by the artist of Boneface. The first thing I just want to remind you of is what Boneface does. So Boneface is an illustrator that produces illustrations of portraits using line. The lines that he uses are generally beveled, so that means they are thick in some places and thin in the other, which kind of recreates the look of a pen, a fountain pen or a paintbrush. He adds colour and he adds gore elements, which we will look at adding later on, but today we're going to focus on the line drawing. So I'm going to have an example of his work there so I can see it. The other thing is just to remind you that on my version of Illustrator, some of the tools are a little bit different. This will be what your toolbox looks like, and this is what your layers box will look like. So if you're unsure of any of the tools I'm talking about, just go onto the PowerPoint and have a look at the tools that I've shared with you on there. So the first thing we're going to do is you need to paste in your image of your face onto an A3 document, and then you're going to lock that layer by clicking the little padlock. You will add in a new layer, and that will come up as a blank layer. It'll look like this, it'll be white, and you'll have the little eye on. You're going to select the pen tool, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to start by just drawing the outline of the face. So I'm going to start at the top, I'm going to click, and I'm going to start to curve them round. I curve by clicking with the mouse and holding the left button and just pulling the mouse, and it starts to curve. If this starts to happen where it's giving you these weird shapes which you don't want, all you need to do is step back, click onto the black arrow, go back to the pen tool, and then go back to the last anchor point you did, and then that should give you more control over where you're putting them in. I'm going to carry on down the side of his face. However, as we know when we're drawing portraits, that our line does not always have to be one continuous line. It can be a number of different lines. So I'm just going to click off, click on the pen tool, and I'm going to draw another line here, which is going to be where his chin goes in. I'm going to go around, and I'm going to go up here. Slight problem at the moment, I can't see my line, so I'm going to press Control A. I'm going to go to the stroke, and I'm going to choose a bright pink. I'm going to make the stroke a little bit thicker so I can see it. If I just click off, you can now see that line. I'm not quite happy with this shape, okay, this line here, so I'm going to go to the pen tool, and I'm going to add an anchor point. See, it goes to a plus, and that's going to allow me to move that anchor point over. I'm going to use the white arrow, and I'm going to move this anchor point over so I can start to see, and I can just turn off the image and I can see the basic shape I've got. I'm going to continue to draw the rest of the outline in. Okay, remember, if you're struggling to get it to not join the previous shape, just click off a little bit. And remember, when you're drawing ears, it doesn't have to go all the way up. So I'm going to click off it, and I'm going to go back to the white arrow, and I'm just going to move this anchor point over. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that out. Okay, that's not quite right there. There we go. I'm going to go back to the pen tool, and I'm going to go in, and I'm going to draw around the ear. Okay, and you're going to continue to do that until you have an outline of the head that looks a bit like that. So if I turn the photograph off, you'll see that I've now got the basic outline of the face. Not all of the lines need to join up because it's a 3D object. And remember, we talked about that it's not a line, it's a series of lines that build up the face. I'm going to turn the photograph on, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start to draw in the facial features. So it's important to remember all the things we talk about when doing facial features. So I'm going to zoom in to make life a bit easier. If we start with an eye, we can see that it's made up by a number of different lines. So I'm going to click, okay, I'm going to start with the line, the crease, where the eyelid is. That's the first shape I've done. That's just one shape. The eyes, again, I'm going to start, I'm going to go click. I'm going to go over the line a little bit there. I'm going to click off with the black arrow, go back to the pen tool, and I'm going to start the new line slightly further down. Okay, I'm going to go there. Got that. I'm going to then go in and add areas like the bits of muscle. Okay, it's there. I'm going to add the back there under his eye. It might be easier to use the shape tool, so I'm going to use the ellipse tool to help me with that. I'm going to press shift on my keyboard, and I'm going to draw it in a circle. Okay. Obviously, we don't need the full circle, so I'm going to use the white arrow, and I'm going to click on the top anchor point, and I'm going to delete that shape, and then I can just move that into position. Okay, and it gives me quite a nice shape there. And then I can just draw another circle for the pupil and do the same thing again. Okay, click, and then put that there. Okay, so we've got the basic eye shape then. If we think about the eyebrows, obviously it's kind of textured, so what I would recommend you do is I'm going to click off there, I'm going to click back on, and I would try and create some kind of little points. Again, I'm clicking off, clicking on, so I can get these pointy bits. You don't want to go over the top. I'm going to go back around, and I've got my eyebrow. If we think about noses, they should be made up of lines, so I'm going to go in, I'm going to add that line in. Oops. So it's gone back. I'm going to step back, Control Z, sorry. I'm going to finish that anchor point off. Okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to draw one nostril. I'm going to curl it round and go it. It's trying to join up, so I'm just going to click it off, and that'll let me. I'm going to move that with the arrow key on my keyboard. I'm going to add a line there, and I'm also going to add one line here. The same thing with the lips. We should be drawing lines rather than shapes. And then what we will end up with is something that looks a bit like this. Okay, you've got the basic outline, and again, if I turn the image off, you can see I've got the basic outline. The next step, what we need to do is with the pen tool, we need to continue to add more lines. And so any creases in the head, any creases in the hair to create texture. I don't want loads of detail, just quite simple detail. Once we've got to that bit, what we need to do, okay, is we need to Control A. Okay, so we should have something that looks like this. We press Control A, and I'm going to go to the top where it's got the line, and I'm going to change it to the beveled edge there, and you'll see that that changes the brush, the line, into a more beveled drawing. And that will be the last stage, except for the next stage, which is going to be Control A, and then you'll go to the colour swatch and make the line into black, which will give you a black line drawing just like this. Thank you very much. Bye for now.